Episode 17, The Shape of the Trap. Bao had run all the way to the hillside, where a wide, canopied old tree stood in the open air. He sat down against its base, one hand still gripping the necklace, and looked out at nothing. His head fell against the bark. Grief moved through him in waves, wordless, choking, without anywhere to go. Above him, the branches swayed softly in a passing wind, and one leaf drifted down onto his shoulder, as if reaching for him. It was fully dark when old Cheng could no longer stay still. He wrapped the scarf over his head, buckled on his knife, and said, "Something isn't right. I'm going to look for him. You two stay here." Tuak said, "It's dark, and I don't know where he went. But 2 people is better than 1 searching. You stopped me before. Let me make a torch and come with you." Normally, Bao being out was no cause for alarm. He had slept in the forest for 2 and 3 days at a stretch. But what worried old Zheng now was the condition Bao was in. A mind not alert, a heart not guarded. He feared the boy might do something irreversible. Just as they were finishing preparations, Bao walked back through the door. "I'm back. No need to look for me." Old Zheng asked immediately, "Are you all right?" Bao replied, "I'm all right. I've thought it over." He turned to Tuak. "May I have the necklace back?" Tuak nodded. "It's yours." "Of course." Bao looked at Master Luong. "There's something I'd like to tell you privately. Could you come outside with me for a moment?" Master Luong agreed. The two went into the yard. Tuk and old Zhong let out long, quiet breaths of relief. Outside, Bao held the necklace up toward the stars and asked, "Is there truly a soul attached to this?" Master Luong replied, "If you don't want to believe it, nothing I say will change that. But we didn't walk all the way into this valley to construct a story for strangers we had never met. Something guided us here, and it wasn't until today that I understood what that something was. It was you. I didn't know your name. I didn't know you were here. But the necklace knew. I'm sorry. The girl you are looking for." Bao interrupted. "You don't have to say it. I understand. I understand everything. I met her today." Master Luong went still. "What did you say?" "You met her." "How?" Bao recounted. "After I left the house, I ran up the hill and sat under that old tree. My tears wouldn't stop. I tried to find reasons, any reason, to tell myself she was still alive. But my heart kept hurting. The harder I tried to deceive myself, the worse it became. I don't know how long I sat there. I only know that when I raised my head, the light was gone and everything was dark. And then I heard a voice, familiar, unmistakable, somewhere near my ear. Swang's voice. She was calling my name. I didn't know where it came from. And then the voice said, 'Close your eyes.' I did. And when I closed them, I saw her." He paused. She stood in front of me, her whole body wrapped in white mist. Her face was the same as the first day I saw it, exactly the same, but her eyes were sad. She said, "I'm dead, but you have to live, because there's still work for you to do. Save. Save." Master Luong asked softly, "Save what?" "What else did she say?" Bao said. "That was all I heard." The mist faded. I opened my eyes, and I was still lying under the tree with the necklace in my hand. She was gone. You said there was a soul in the necklace. I believe it now. What I saw and heard, I know it was not a dream. I no longer want to live. But before I give up, I came back to speak with you, because you said the soul that lingers on earth does so because of unresolved matters. When Swung said save, was she asking someone to save her soul? Master Luong replied, no, though I can't be completely certain. During the time I worked to break the wormwood's hold on Mr. Tuak, I also came to understand something of why that girl's soul would not leave. If you want to hear it, I will tell you, but this is only my reading of the signs. Bao nodded quickly. Please, tell me everything. Master Luong continued. Before I found Tuok, I heard stories about him from others who had seen his madness. They said that at night, his voice would change. Sometimes laughter, sometimes sobbing. And when it changed, a woman's voice would come out of him. This woman would cry and call out over and over, my child, I'm sorry. When I found him myself, lying in a landfill, at a market in the middle of the night, I heard it with my own ears, exactly as others had described. Every night he cried, my child. He paused. Tuak has no children. A soul that cannot leave this world carries something that was left unfinished, something it could not bear to abandon. And after I broke the spell and Tuak recovered, he dreamed of a girl. In the dream, she told him, save my child. That is why I believe the reason that girl stayed was because of a child. Her child, still somewhere in the Mist Village, still in danger. She died young. She was barely more than a girl. And yet, even as a ghost, even as a soul burning down to nothing, she was still trying to find a way to protect her baby. Bo shivered. A cold sensation moved down through him, from the back of his neck to the soles of his feet. He looked at Master Luong. Is that a child mine? Master Luong replied, how can either of us know that? But you told me you had a wife. Is that person Swung? Bao replied, we were only together for a short time, but to me, she is my wife. I swore it, in this life, only her. The necklace was my father's gift to my mother, the token of his promise to her. I gave it to Swung as mine. She was also the person who saved my life. The first time I ever set foot in the forest. He exhaled. 3 years ago, a geological survey team, 4 of us, young, educated, certain that science was more than enough for any situation. We went in. On the 3rd day, I separated from the group and went deeper alone. I got lost. 4 days without food, without water, without a working compass. But the 4th day, I didn't know where I was anymore. My legs gave out and I fell from a cliff. The last thing I saw was white mist. When I woke up, the first person I saw was Swung. From behind him, Master Luong heard movement. Old Zong and Tuak on the porch, crouching and listening. Bao tucked the necklace into his pocket. Let's go inside. I'll tell everyone everything. Things I've never said aloud to anyone in all these years. The fire burned low and steady. The shadows of 4 people fell across the walls in 4 different shapes, each face wearing a different expression, all of them waiting. The story they were about to hear was the beginning of everything. The origin of the girl named Swung, her connection to the Mist Village, and the necklace that had survived so many hands to find its way back to the man who had given it. Bao said, this afternoon, when I spoke about the falling plains, I briefly mentioned the proposal to survey the geology of the Mount Wubo area in Baekyin district to determine whether uranium deposits were present. The project was halted when one member of the research team nearly died. That member was me. He looked at his hands. 3 years ago, I entered that forest to conduct field surveys. There were 4 of us. By that point, I had read every document available about the mountains and forests here. Scientific data, reports of disappearances, crashed aircraft with no explanation, and even the American documentary the soldiers called Ghost Forest, full of accounts of inexplicable things that had happened in this place. My team at the time was young and enthusiastic. We believed in science. We laughed at talk of demons and mysticism. We went in. Tuak asked, "And when you came out, your beliefs had changed?" Bao shook his head. "No, even 2 days ago, I still could not bring myself to truly believe in the things called ghosts or spells or legends. Even now, after everything I've experienced in that forest over the past year, even after applying every scientific explanation I possess to the strangeness inside, I still cannot explain it, which is perhaps its own kind of proof. But 3 years ago, we went in full of confidence. The pristine wilderness excited us. We'd read about the unusual magnetic field around Mount Ubo, and when we saw with our own eyes that the compass stopped working the moment we crossed the forest edge, that only made us more enthusiastic. More things to discover, but enthusiasm and knowledge don't protect you from a deep forest. On the 3rd day of the survey, with the compasses useless and the electronic equipment dead, the group was debating what to do next. I proposed going deeper. The others refused. They said the risk was too great. We were researchers, not forest-trained fieldmen. We voted. I was the only one who agreed with my own proposal. The rest decided to stay 2 more days, collect soil and rock samples from the area, and then return. Old Zhang asked, "And you ignored the vote?" Bao nodded. It had taken enormous effort to get even this far into the forest. The samples collected at the edge were not enough to prove anything. Something told me that if I kept going, I would find something significant. Young and impatient, wanting results immediately. So while the others were absorbed in their work, I separated from the group and went deeper, alone. I left a note in my place saying I had something to attend to and would return ahead of them, so no one would come looking. I was lost within half a day. Tuok asked, "You found the Mist Village then?" Bao shook his head. "I've never seen that village." Tuok frowned. "Then how did you meet Swan?" "Let me finish. I had my samples." I turned back happily and immediately realized I had no idea which way I'd come from. Trees on every side, no compass, no path. I tried every direction and came back to the same places. 4 days, no food, no clean water, no landmarks. The more I tried, the worse it became. On the 4th day, dizzy, shaken, I stepped onto a ledge that gave way beneath me and I fell. The last thing I registered was white mist and then darkness. When I woke, I was lying in a wooden, stilt house. My body ached everywhere and barely moved. There were wounds on me that had been covered with forest leaves I didn't recognize. He paused. Then a girl appeared. She came closer and crouched beside me. She knew I was awake, but she didn't speak. She peeled away the old leaf dressings, cleaned the wounds with a cloth soaked in water, and replaced them with fresh leaves that had been pounded in a small stone mortar. When I asked her questions, she didn't answer. I assumed she didn't understand me, but I knew I was alive because she had saved me. Aside from the soft tissue injuries, I had cracked ribs from the fall. Fortunately, the cliff was not high, and there were bushes below, so the impact wasn't fatal. Master Luong asked, The stilled house you've described, is it the same one Tuak's group found before they were captured by Mochok's people? Bao replied, from Tuak's description, I believe so. That girl came twice a day, at noon, and again in early evening, for 3 days while I lay unable to move. When I was finally able to stand, I realized my backpack with my important equipment was gone. I searched the house and the immediate area, but found nothing. I assumed it had fallen somewhere during the cliff fall and tried to accept the loss. When I could walk well enough to go downstairs, I discovered there were no other houses. I had assumed I was in a settlement, that people would find me when I was in trouble. But there was no one, just that one house. And the forest I found myself standing in was completely different from any forest I had ever seen. Not just different in degree, different in kind, as though I had stepped into an earlier world before people existed. Pure, untouched, primeval. Tuak spoke up quickly. That's exactly it. That's exactly what we felt. I couldn't put words to it, but it was as if the trees, the air, the light were all wrong in the same way, like standing in a place that shouldn't exist. Bao nodded. The first time she caught me standing outside looking around, her face went tight with fear. She grabbed my arm and brought me quickly back upstairs. Her eyes kept moving to the trees, checking, watching. Then she looked at me and said, if anyone else sees you here, you'll die. She spoke and understood Vietnamese. After that, every time I tried to ask her anything, she went silent. But every day I kept trying. My injury slowly healed. I knew I'd been missing a long time and needed to get back. So I asked her to show me the way out of the forest. The next day at noon, she didn't come. She didn't come in the evening either. At midnight, she appeared, crouched in a corner of the house, crying quietly. No explanation. I asked, and she didn't answer. But then, very late, she asked me something unexpected about the outside world, about society, about things that she clearly knew of only through pictures and descriptions, never through experience. I gave her back her questions with my own answers. All night, by the firelight, I told her everything she wanted to know. That was the first night she left. The first night she talked easily, openly, without guarding herself. He was quiet for a moment. The cracked ribs made mountain terrain very difficult for me. We saw each other every day, and I don't know exactly when it happened, but somewhere in those days, Luong and I fell in love. She loved to hear me describe things from the world outside the forest. She knew the names of dishes she had only ever seen in pictures. And when I said I would take her there one day, take her to see all the places she had only imagined, her eyes lit up, and then went sad. She smiled and said, if I really had the chance, that would be wonderful. But I have my parents here. I couldn't leave them. At the time, I took that at face value. I told myself she simply wasn't ready. We gave each other everything. When she finally led me out of the forest, I begged her to come with me. She refused again. I gave her the necklace, my father's token, the one he had given to my mother, and I made her a promise. I would come back for you. I saw tears fall from her face when she took it. I returned after nearly a month of disappearing and told no one what had happened. Even after the uranium survey project was officially rejected, it didn't matter to me. I had found something much more important. I began planning immediately how to get back. Tuak asked, why couldn't you? Bao replied, Not long after I returned, I was in an accident. Once again, luck was with me. I didn't die, but a brain injury left me in a coma for a year and a half. When I woke, I had not lost my memory, and the first thing I did was come back here. I knew I had broken my promise for too long, but over the past year in the forest, I have never been able to reach that place again. And now, his tears fell onto the back of his tightly clenched hand. An unfinished love, a tragedy without a final page, and now the most painful knowledge of all, that the promise cannot be kept, that Luong would never be found alive, that the girl who once sat by firelight laughing at stories from the outside world is gone, and what remains of her is only a soul that burned itself out, trying to protect someone who would never know. No one spoke for a long time. Ojong now understood what had kept Bao returning to that forest for more than a year, enduring things that would have broken most men. It had never been about gold. It had been about the girl who saved his life. Now, Luong was gone, and yet, with what Master Luong had told him, with what Bao himself had heard in that vision on the hillside, there was still a reason to go on, a reason still to breathe. The person suffering most in the room was Bao, but there was another person who also felt the weight of a debt owed to a girl named Luong. That was Tuok. The more he learned about what Luong had done, saving not only Bao from the forest, but Tuok himself from the wormwood, and in the end, trying still, even in death, to protect her child, the deeper his admiration became. A girl barely older than a child herself, dead and powerless, clinging to the world only by the force of love, still reaching for the impossible. Master Luong said, "May I look at the necklace again for a moment?" Bao nodded and handed it to him. They all watched as Master Luong closed his eyes and sat without moving, holding it in his open palms. A long moment passed. Then he opened his eyes and looked down at the necklace and said very softly, "I can no longer feel her presence in this necklace." He looked up. Before this, after I had broken the wormwood's hold on Mr. Thuok, the soul's presence was already very faint. She had spent almost everything she had. I believe she used what remained of her soul to appear to you on that hillside, to say goodbye. The dead do not belong in this world. What keeps them here is injustice, or longing, or love unresolved. This girl clung to an object that was precious to her in life, and through it, she watched over the people she needed to protect. But she is gone now. At least, they saw each other again, even for a moment. He paused. "My task here is done. In 2 days, I will depart for the Mist Village." Tuok was surprised. "It sounds like you already know how to get there." Master Luong replied, "If the Four Waters formation is truly as I've analyzed it, then there is a way to break through the gates and enter. What concerns me is not the formation itself, but whether, once we reach the Mist Village, we will be capable of dealing with Mochok. He is not a person to take lightly, and from what Thuok has told me, the people of that village are not ordinary either." Thuok said, "They're not. They worship Mochok absolutely. He is their god, their protector, their messenger from the heavens. Whatever he commands, they obey. We may not even reach him before his followers kill us." Master Luong said, "I considered the same danger before, but after hearing Bao's story, I have revised my thinking. If the people of that village were truly all monsters, there would have been no Luong. Luong also lived in the Mist Village, and she saved both your lives. I suspect that Mochok rules through fear, that he uses that fear to turn the villagers into instruments of his will. Those people are not his followers by choice. They are his prisoners. Don't forget, he breeds the poison goo worm. Based on the aerial photographs alone, we can see that for decades he has controlled those people like objects in his hand. I am not afraid to confront Mochok. What I am afraid of is the suffering of the innocent people living inside that village. Because to Mochok, they're no more than ants. Old Zane said, "Is there truly a person like that in this world? Just listening makes my skin crawl." Master Luong replied, "This is what makes shamans like Mochuk so loathsome. To achieve their ends, they will not hesitate to kill many, many people. Other lives hold no value for them." Ojong asked, "Have you ever encountered someone like Mochok before?" Master Luong replied, "I've never met his equal, but I have seen his work. An entire village, 300 people, murdered in a single night. I was about 13 or 14 years old. My master was studying a hexagram and suddenly stopped. Then looked up and said that a disaster was coming from the east, that many people would die. The same night, he came down the mountain, and we traveled for 2 days and 2 nights. When we arrived at Dayan village, it was too late. All 300 villagers had gathered in one place and taken their own lives. Old, young, men, women, children. Not one person survived. They had all cut their own throats." Bao stared. "Why? How?" Someone had cast a spell over the entire village. The deaths of 300 people served the ritual of evil. My master spent the rest of his life tormented by the fact that he had seen it coming and could not stop it in time. Thinking about Mochok now, I find myself remembering Dayan village with growing certainty. He paused. "I believe Mochok may not be a Vietnamese shaman. He may be, like me, a person who came from elsewhere. It's just that he has been here for a very long time. I've had this feeling since I first identified the Four Waters formation. In my decades of travel in Vietnam, I have met many talismans, shamans, and folk healers among the ethnic peoples here. What they do tends towards spells and charms. Set in formations is not a tradition native to them. The Four Waters formation is ancient, drawn from classical sources that very few people in any era have mastered. I know it because my master was an expert in those classical texts, and he taught me everything he knew. That knowledge, combined with the aerial photographs and the lucky accident of the burned forest revealing part of the formation's structure, that is how I recognized it. And from this, I conclude that Mochok is something different from a simple Vietnamese shaman." He stroked his beard slowly. "Thousands of years ago, according to old records, though Dai Viet was small, it produced remarkable people in every generation. Clever, courageous, united. Because of this, the Chinese imperial court always sought ways to inhibit its strength. Beyond military conquests, the successive emperors sent feng shui masters and skilled practitioners here to map the places where the land's spiritual energy gathered, and then to sever those veins, to cut what the old text called the dragon's spine. There were families of Chinese origin willing to settle in Dai Viet, have children here, and continue that work through the generations, serving the orders of the Chinese court for as long as the family line endured." Bao's eyes went wide. "Master, are you telling me you are Chinese?" Master Luong smiled. That's right. I am Chinese by birth. But I have spent more than 30 of my 50 plus years of travel in Vietnam. I've eaten Vietnamese rice and spoken Vietnamese until no one can tell the difference. Vietnam is as much my home as anywhere, and whatever Mo Choc's origin, Chinese or Vietnamese or something else, what he has done is worthy of death. In the past, the deaths of 300 people in Daiyan village ended my master's peace of mind. I don't know yet what plot Mo Choc is building toward, but we cannot allow the people of the Mist village to continue living in that kind of bondage and terror. Even if it costs me this old life, I am willing. It was long past midnight. The room was very still. Bao said, Master Luong, please let me go with you. To fulfill Xuang's last wish, I bow my head and ask for your help. He moved to kneel. Master Luong raised a hand and stopped him. No need for that. Fate brought us together here. Helping you is helping myself. The only thing I will say is this. This trip is nothing less than walking into death. Both of you are young, are you? Tuak cut him off. We've come this far. There's no reason to go back now. Besides, how could I let an old man walk into a place like that alone? Bao said, Death. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Master Luong smiled. Then old Zin's laughter boomed through the house. Ha ha ha. You've all forgotten who is the oldest person here. I wonder if there's room in this expedition for one more old man. Bui waved his hands quickly. Old Jin, you're the leader here. The people need you. You can't. Because I am the village chief, I cannot sit still while an evil Mo Choc lives in the forest that borders my village. My mind is made up. Even if you refuse me, I will still go. Furthermore, and I say this with all respect, you will not find anyone with greater experience in these forests than me. Master Luong, what do you say? Master Luong replied, If he says so, I have no reason to refuse. He smiled. It seems I came to the right place, found the right people. We have 2 days to prepare everything. Then we go into the forest, to the Mist village. We have to go. He's dead. This place can't hold much longer. Stand up. Old Zhong raised his hands before his face and saw them wet with blood. Around him, cries and voices he knew. A body lay motionless on the ground. The scene was chaos. Everything shaken. Die. Poof. Ha, ha, ha. Old Zheng woke with a gasp, sat upright, sweat running off him in streams. He looked at his hands. They were clean and dry. He exhaled. A dream. Outside, pale dawn was already pressing against the walls. Everyone else was awake. Bao spoke from the doorway. You've finally woken up. Truly a rare thing. I've lived with you a long time and never seen you sleep this late. Old Sheng replied, Where are the other two? Master Luong is under the tree in front, braiding something. Tuok has been folding clothes and reorganizing his pack. I was waiting for you to wake so we can go over what needs to be prepared before we leave tomorrow. Old Zhang went outside. Under the shade of the tree, Master Luong sat stripping bark from a mulberry branch, working it into 4 small bags. Old Zhang asked, What are you making? Charm bags. You'll understand soon. When everything was finished, Master Luong called everyone inside. When all 4 were present, he took a silver bowl and a sharp knife from his pack, held the bowl over the embers to warm it, then drew the knife across his own palm and let 3 drops of blood fall into the bowl. He set down the knife and said, Now each of you do the same. 3 drops. No more. One by one, with varying degrees of hesitation, Tuok, Bao, and Old Zeng each added 3 drops of their own blood. Master Luong then produced a yellow talisman covered in Chinese characters and layered geometric symbols, and held it between 2 fingers. Muttering quietly, he pressed it in turn to each person's forehead. When he had finished, he placed the talisman in the embers, let it burn to ash, and tipped the ash into the silver bowl. Into the bowl, he added iron filings, wood dust, and a pinch of garden earth. He mixed everything together, dipped a brush into the mixture, and painted out 4 talismans on 4 squares of red paper. In the time available, this is what I can prepare: the mutual generation talisman, because we have used all 4 of our blood as the ink, and because each talisman carries elements corresponding to the 5 elements, wherein one will allow each of us to sense the others to some degree. It will also help us work against the 4 waters formation when we need to pass through the gates. Tuak asked, "Why is it called the mutual generation talisman?" "For now, put it on, and then I'll explain." Each person folded their talisman into the small mulberry bark bag Master Luong had prepared, and he tied each bag onto a string and placed it around each person's neck. When everyone had theirs on, Master Luong said, "Now close your eyes, slowly. Tell me if you notice anything." They closed their eyes. Almost immediately, all 3 said together, "Yes." There's a smell, a strange fragrance. It feels like it's spreading outward from this spot. They opened their eyes and looked at one another. Master Luong said, "Blood mixed with the 5 elements and consecrated with the proper mantras creates a talisman that links its wearers through a shared fragrance. If any of us becomes separated, the scent from the talisman will help locate the others. The reason everyone felt it radiating in the circle just now is because we are sitting together. We are 4 people. Being separated would be extremely dangerous. Keep the talisman on your body at all times." Old Zhang spoke up. "There are many dangerous creatures in the forest. Snakes, centipedes, wild insects. I know a person in the village who makes effective remedies against snake venom and insect poison. Let me go buy some before we leave. More people also means more food and water needed. Everyone stay here and prepare. I'll go now." Master Luong agreed. Every precaution taken now was one less disaster later. As Old Zhang moved toward the door, he glanced at a stack of folded clothes on the bamboo chair. Tuok's things being packed away. He stopped. The blood drained from his face. He was sweating before he understood why. No, this couldn't be. Why was this? Old Zeng stood there, staring. Tuok came out from the back of the house and walked straight into him. "Oh, you're still here, solid as a boulder." Old Zeng turned to look at Tuok, then back at the clothes. His face was strange, caught between something that wanted to speak and something that didn't dare. Are these your clothes?" Tuok smiled. "They are. Still new. The restaurant owner who fed me when I was wander mad, she bought them for me when Master Luong and I left. I haven't worn them yet." Hehehe. Old John wiped the sweat from his brow and replied, "I see. That's all right. I'll go." He left the house. Tuak stood staring after him, baffled, then clicked his tongue and went back to packing. On the road, Old Jim was still shivering, because when he had looked at those folded clothes, and then looked at Tuak's face, he had remembered his dream. In the dream, The scene had been chaotic, the details indistinct, but one thing was clear. A person holding a knife, rushing at another person, and then stabbing them, and the person holding the knife was Doc. What old Zhang had just realized was that in the dream, Tuok had been wearing those exact clothes, the same clothes currently folded on the bamboo chair. He had never seen those clothes before this morning, so how had he dreamed of them? That question sat in him like a splinter. There was something old Zhang had never told anyone. Since childhood, he had had this gift, or burden, that certain dreams came true. Not always, not literally, but the thing dreamed of would happen within weeks. When he was young, he dreamed of his father falling from a tree. A month later, his father fell from a cliff, collecting honey, and died. When he was older, he dreamed of his house underwater. A week later, floods swept through and took the crops and livestock. He rarely dreamed, but when he did, it mattered. This dream was clearer than any he could remember. Every detail had been sharpened and real. Old Zing decided to say nothing, but he made himself a private rule. If Tuok raises a knife against anyone in this group, I will shoot him through the heart before he can do it, because according to Master Luong, Mochok could reach inside a person's mind, could move their hands like a puppet. They had not even entered the forest yet, and already a shadow of suspicion had been planted inside the group, rooted in fear and growing silently in the dark. That evening, after dinner, everyone still hadn't grown entirely used to old Shung's appearance. He had made one significant change. His hair, the long, extraordinarily thick black coil that had curled down around his neck for decades. The thing that had made him look, at first glance, like a man wearing a python, was gone. He had shaved his head entirely bald. The decision had startled everyone when he announced it that afternoon. "Help me with something," Master Luong had replied. "Just say what it is. Help me shave my head." Master Luong looked at him. "Are you serious?" Old Jing nodded. "We leave tomorrow. Hair like that in the forest would only cause trouble, and I don't know whether I'll come back. If I leave my hair at home, at least something of me remains here." The hair was what had caught Master Luong's attention the most when they first met. It must have been decades since old Zhong had cut it, wrapped around his neck, heavy and black. It was the defining feature of the man. Without it, sitting in the firelight with a smooth scalp and the kind of bearing that comes from a life of hard use, old Zhang looked even more formidable than before. Stripped of the strange, he became simply powerful. Bao witnessed old Cheng's other preparation that day for the first time. The village elder went to a corner of the house and brought out bows, spears, crossbows. He spent the afternoon carving, sharpening, stringing, repairing. Tuok watched and asked, "Are you bringing all of that?" Old Zhong raised the crossbow and looked down the length of it with one eye closed. "Of course, for hunting and as a weapon both. Didn't you say the people in that village are ferocious? If you want to stay alive, you start by knowing how to protect yourself." Phew. Poof. An arrow buried itself in the center of a tree trunk 20 meters away. Old Jung laughed. "Ha ha ha ha. The crossbow and I still understand each other well." Tuak ran to the tree. The arrow was sunk deep enough that he had to lean into it with both hands to pull it free. He came back admiring. "I've seen crossbow shooting before, but nothing like that." Old Sheng replied, "It depends on the maker. This crossbow shoots over 100 meters and it still hits true, with enough force to go through a man. He looked directly at Tuak, crossbow held firmly in both hands, and said with complete coldness, "If anyone threatens the lives of the people in this group, I will put an arrow through his heart." Tuak laughed. "Good. Having you with us makes me feel safer." He went back to his own preparations, unbothered. Old Jean watched him go with measuring eyes, then exhaled and said to himself, barely audibly, "So be it." That night, Master Luong asked, "Is everything prepared?" Tuak replied, "Food and water are fully packed. Bao and I sorted it together. The villagers here draw and preserve their meat, so we can carry enough for a month. The four of us can manage the weight." Bao added maps, photographs, surveying, and topographic tools, all ready. He pointed to his backpack. Tuak picked up a strange object off the floor. "What's this?" Bao replied, "A head-mounted flashlight, American-made, old, but undamaged. The battery is dead, so it doesn't work anymore. Along with it, various other small devices." Bao said, "Measuring instruments. I gave up on them not long ago. They stopped being useful inside the forest." Old Zhang said, "What concerns me is what we do when we actually reach that village. We know Mo Chok is not alone. We can't simply walk in and eliminate him with words. What is the plan?" Master Luong replied quietly, "Everything I know about Mo Chok comes from Tuok's account and from the enchantments I've encountered and dismantled. I know he understands the 5 elements well enough to arrange formations. I know he is capable of things that should not be possible. I know he does not work alone. Confronting him directly, in his own territory, with the complete loyalty of his people. This is not a thing to be undertaken without thinking. However, we are not without resources. In our group, there is someone who has actually lived inside the Mist Village for a period of time. Whether this trip succeeds or fails depends greatly on him." Bao and Old Shang both looked at Tuak, who was sitting apart, turning Bao's instruments over in his hands with innocent curiosity, only half listening to the conversation. Master Luong was right. Tuak's memory was exceptional. Master Luong had confirmed this to himself over and over during the journey. Each time he pressed Tuak for details about Moshok, about the village's layout, about the rituals and murders he had witnessed. Everything came back clear and detailed, as though Tuak's mind had preserved it all in amber, despite the wormwood, despite the madness, despite the terror. That memory was, in his own way, a weapon, but Mo Chok's capabilities were still largely unknown in their true extent. Something was building inside that cave at the heart of the formation, something larger than simple power or simple cruelty. What worried Master Luong now was a pattern. During the long journey here, he had thought repeatedly about the ritual in Dai An village. 300 people dead in a single night, their deaths serving a specific purpose. And now, piece by piece, the picture was assembling itself. Every time Moshok performed his ritual, his servants chanted those 3 words, Amma Naka. Not a local chant, not a folk tradition, something older, something brought from far away. Master Luong turned the thought over again and said, "What I'm most concerned about is this. I believe Mo Chok may be engaged in something I have only seen evidence of once before in my life. A practice thought to have died out after the ancient esoteric school was absorbed by Tibet, the art of demon nurturing. Tuak looked up from the instruments. Demon nurturing. What is that, master? The old man replied, the use of human souls as offerings, as nourishment, to feed and grow the soul of a demon. The more people die, the more resentment and longing piles up in those trapped souls, and the more terrifying the demon becomes. That is what was behind the deaths in Dai An village. 300 souls sacrificed to feed something. My master spent years trying to trace the source, the practitioner. He never found them. He looked into the fire. And now I believe I know who it was. The same chant, the same form of ritual, Amma Naka. It originated in Tibet, in the oldest and darkest branch of the esoteric school. There are people in this world who worship what the old texts call the ancient way, or in its most extreme form, the primordial ancient way. For such people, demons and fiend gods are not evil. They are the origin of all life. They are worthy of worship, and they require feeding. He paused. Mo Cha has not been in that forest for 40 years. I believe he has been there much, much longer than that. And what he is feeding has been growing for all of those years.